Namaste. Welcome back to Waking Up with Mindful Serenity Yoga. And I'm Nancy, and we're going to continue answering questions from the jar. I've been doing this exercise a little bit more frequently in the last 2 weeks than I have been in a long time. I probably went over a month without doing an exercise. My life was a little crazy, like all our lives get from time to time, and I found myself slipping away from my practice. And I'm considering this a part of my sadhana, my practice. This answering a question from the jar, what it really does for me and my practice, this human I call me, and my practice, is it helps me to assimilate all the knowledge I've gained over the years, all the knowledge I've gained from my own yoga practice of 25 plus years, what I have gained from the practice of studying that I do from all the ancient, I'm very interested in all the ancient wisdom traditions, and I have been reading and studying almost everything I can on those, reading the ancient scriptures and whatnot. I also been studying for a long time in my life psychology, so that I have a background in that, as philosophy, English literature, poetry especially. I love science, so I've been studying, especially quantum mechanics and quantum physicists lately. The new findings that are coming out in that are amazing. So I'm interested in that. Not by any means am I an expert or extremely educated in all of it, but I just got little bits here and there that make it more interesting, I think. So I try to assimilate all that knowledge because what I'm really interested in knowing is, what is this person not this person, what is this being that goes with the term human being that I am supposedly am? Who is that exists beyond the human part of my human being? Who is that behind my personality? What is this consciousness people are talking about? How does the mind really work? How can we control the mind? How can we be happier? How can we stop life from triggering us all the time? How can we get rid of all these samskaras or knots of stored and stuffed impressions we have inside us from the things we picked up in our lifetimes? How can we be happy? So those are the questions I ask myself all the time, and I like to find the answers for them. So this is what this is all about for me. So anyway, I'm going to pull a question out of the jar, and I'm going to read it. It's a very common question. Why do bad things happen to good people? Why do bad things happen to good people? I might have answered that a year or so ago, but I'll answer it again. Why do bad things happen to good people? I'm going to set my timer before I take my breath. Excuse me, I have to go back to the beginning. And take a deep breath. And I just take that breath to kind of ground a little bit because, I have an active ego. I have a mind that wants to pretend. Part of my mind wants to pretend it knows everything. It wants to, hey, look at me, how smart I am. And then another part of me just says, be quiet. So anyway, I want to answer that question from the highest part of myself. The wise part that's within all of us and that we all have access to. Sometimes we forget. So anyway, why do bad things happen to good people? And I know now that after I'm saying that question that I've answered it before. But I will answer it again because it is a question we often hear. Why do bad things happen to good people? Well, we're hearing in that bad things, good people. So we have a lot of dichotomy and dualistic thinking in that statement. We are judging people as being either bad or good. We are judging the things in life as being bad or good. When, as old Shakespeare said in Hamlet, Act 2, Scene 2, nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So, really, there is no good and there is no bad. What we have is things happening to people. And what we judge as good in one situation may be relatively bad in another situation, So, a hurricane in one situation, in one family, may be considered a very bad thing, knocking their house down, doing whatever. In another situation, they may knock down an old house and they end up getting, they can't get it now, but the natural law and the natural events happening with the way they're happening, the insurance company is not going to cover that. But just say it did, and that hurricane knocked down somebody's house and they were granted enough money to buy an even better house or something along that line. So bad things, again, we have to be very, very careful about that judgment and the relativity of those statements. So nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And as bad people, is there such thing as bad people or good people? People are just people. People are wherever they are at and their level of consciousness. Some people are very evolved, very high. That means that they have all the compassion and love. They're able to express that compassion and love and light in ways that someone who's less evolved cannot. So these individuals we may seem as good. And anything less than that, still good, maybe less good. Well, this person's really, really not evolved, so they're bad. But they're not necessarily bad. They're just at a different state of evolution. They're not yet awake. They're not yet seeing clearly. They still have maybe a lot of painful samskaras and pain bodies within them, as Edgar Tolle would refer to it as. And they're acting out of that. Maybe they're acting out of trauma. Maybe they're acting out of confusion. Maybe they're acting out of a mental illness. Maybe they're acting out of pain, be it physical or mental. So these individuals we deem as bad, we sometimes want bad things to happen to them, right? We want them to get their penance. We want them to get their paid for what they're doing and what they've done to others. When there really is no bad people or no good people, no bad things or no good things, just things and people. So why then do these challenging things sometimes seem to happen to people who are more advanced or kinder and more compassionate than other individuals? Well, I do believe there might be a level of that we cannot quite understand until we actually understand ourselves a little bit more. And what I mean by that is we understand who we truly are beyond these psyches, these, personalities and this meanness and this drama that we think we are, to the person, or not the person, but to the being or entity that is beyond that, the essence that is beyond that, right? Because we are not our personalities. We're not our bodies. We're not our personalities. We're not our thoughts or feelings. We're something that exists beyond that. When we get there, back to what some people would refer to as the seat of consciousness, we would be able to look out and see that these challenges are there to help the soul grow. The soul, I know you say, oh, that's a woo-woo word, I don't want to hear about that. But you can use the word consciousness, awareness, the humanness, the being in the humanness. Help that to grow. It's not the personality or the mind or the body that needs to grow. It's that which is in the mind, seeing the world through the eyes on this head. The person that is experiencing life through this body. Not the person, but the being that is expressing life through this body. It's not the circumstances, all those things that are happening, challenges or non-challenging. But whatever shows up in our life is here for a reason. And if we could believe that, truly believe that, and that's hard to believe because most of us are, materialists, and we believe in randomization, and we believe that everything's just happening at random, and or sometimes we believe that it's not happening at random. It's very well controlled by a wrathful God who's punishing us, a wrathful world that's punishing us, an unkind and cruel universe or nature that's punishing us, rather than seeing it has nothing to do with this little me, because this little me who we think we are, who it's not happy unless everything's working a certain way and it's, making us feel good inside, is not even real. It's just a mental concept, a self-concept, something we made up so we could make sense of this world, right? So we're listening to that. We get so absorbed and so focused on that we begin to listen to it and believe that it was telling the truth when it told us that life should be a certain way, and if it's not a certain way, then it's bad. It told us that people should be a certain way, and if they're not a certain way, they're bad. So here we and if people are doing what's pleasant to us and pleasing us and whatever, it meets our expectations of what good is, and again, it's our mind thinking that's good, then they're good. And so we want these good people to have good things happening to them. We want these bad people to have bad things happening to them. And when it's the opposite way around, we say, oh my gosh, life is so unfair. Life is not being unfair. Life is just doing what life does and what's been doing for billions of years. right? It's not here to punish us, nor is it here to make our lives easier. If anything, life is here to challenge us so that we grow and become the best human beings, and I stress the beings in there, that we can be. If we could believe in this idea of a soul, and you can call it whatever you want. You can call it consciousness, you can call it awareness, call it presence, you can call it essence, you can call it, the invisible thing that is behind the mind and body. I don't care what you call it, but if we believe that that was there, and we saw, I'm here in this body and form now so that thing can express itself through me, and that thing is just a connection of God, a beam from the sun, a wave on the ocean, a droplet in an infinite puddle of droplets, then we would say, oh my goodness, that's okay that challenge is there. That's going to help me to see what I'm doing that's hurting myself or other people and make changes. I will grow. Maybe not as a mind and a personality or a body, but I will grow as this being. This droplet will expand so that I'm quenching the thirst of the people around me. This light beam will expand so I'm offering light to the people around me or the beings around me. This, this wave will grow so the ocean that I am a part of can nurture everything around me. So when we look at these challenging things that are happening to so-called good people, and we see, well, they're learning and they're growing and they're exactly where they are to be. They are, and they're going through exactly what they need to grow through to get where they need to be ultimately, which is an ultimately that we may never understand with our materialistic mindsets or with these eyes on our heads or other senses. But it's an ultimately that the soul understands. And again, use whatever term you want to for the soul, that the heart understands. It's feels right, like we're doing something for the betterment of all beings on this planet, including the being that we are. So when we think that their suffering is there to enhance their growth, not punish, but enhance, then we have a lot less tendency to say, ask the question, why do good things happen to bad people, or bad things happen to good people, or whatever. What we need to be able to say, it doesn't matter. But we got to get beyond that question. The most important question is, what am I to learn? What is that person to learn, I wonder? What can they learn from this? How can they grow? And those are much more wholesome questions to ask. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. Have an amazing day. Namaste.